Welcome to Entry Points Radio. Every week we share human-curated playlists to break the algorithm. We're going to take a deep dive into new tracks, new humans, and new sounds to fall in love with from around the world. I'm Kate Bass.
And I'm Richie Steigner. We founded Global Music Collective to discover and create new music across boundaries. We've spent the past decade meeting fascinating people in over 50 countries.
These are the real songs and real stories that we share with real people along the way. This is Entry Points Radio.
We're back.
We're back. You actually beat me. But you know what?
That's
I
not
got
fair.
it right the first time, and then Richie had technical difficulties and we had to start over, so.
I did cheat. I'm sorry.
You cheated.
I mean,
It's fine.
I just faked technical difficulties so that I would get
you
the
could win
chance.
the...
Yeah, it's like I rolled my ankle. And be like,
That-
oh, can we try that again? Ooh, ow. I've been bit by the soccer foul bug where they just fall down and they're like, oh, I broke everything. And then start running again when they don't get
Yeah.
the foul.
So
Did
much
you watch-
drama.
Did you watch the World Cup?
I did. I did
You
watch
did?
the World Cup. I did. Yeah.
The actual, like the final game?
The final game. Went to
Whoa.
a sports bar and everything. It was fine. I mean, they
You
were
seem
such such good,
nonplussed.
they're both such good teams that it was like, okay, is anybody going to get a goal? The one goal was very exciting. That was a very exciting moment. It was great.
Mm.
I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, it was great. Now it's over. Cool. Like, let's move on. I don't know. I think
Oh.
I just got a little sportsed out from the World Cup.
That's fair. That's fair. I am fascinated by the like overlap of musicians that like absolutely hate sports. They won't touch it at all. And there's a lot of sports being pushed right now instead of music. And I feel kind of a way about it.
I do too. I was noticing the halftime show and just the spectacle of like showing which celebrities were there and other people whose names will not be mentioned, and then it all goes into the news the next day. Meanwhile, there's a massive protest going on in India. There's an uprising of young people against corruption in their education system, and
I saw that.
there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of young people who are protesting right now in Delhi outside of Parliament. I'm reading that news in India, and then I'm seeing all of the media circus over, how Shakira looks dancing on the World Cup halftime show. And I don't know. I feel very conflicted because I guess as a musician, sometimes it feels difficult for me that we talk about sports as being this great unifier when you and I have seen firsthand what happens when we put people together across cultures and have them make music and they get excited about seeing their own culture reflected on stage, participating with other cultures. And there's no divisiveness there. There's no, the biggest divisiveness is when a couple of the songwriters don't agree on, what to put in the second verse. And it's creation, and it's like, I don't know. I like sports. I enjoy sports, but I'm just a bit sportsed out right now because I feel like there's just so much more.
Yeah, I have a lot to. I want to dive into this more because my playlist this week actually has to like do with some of these things. I spent the last week in Washington, D.C. I was out there for a program with the State Department that kind of brings together all of these exchange alumni from different programs. But there, we talked about sports diplomacy. We went to a couple different museums and a couple institutes. And of course, there's the reflecting pool is drained, and there's a whole thing going on with that. So I have some. My
I think that
songs
we should
have some
jump into
context
it.
with that.
Let's
Yeah?
do it. Let's jump into it. Let's go, Richie. Let's get into the music, man.
For context, if this is your first time listening to Entry Points Radio, what we do is we share our playlist. Every week, Kate and I put together a playlist of songs that we've heard from around the world that hopefully fly in the face of the algorithm that Spotify tends to give us. Not that those songs are bad, but we want you to hear other things than some AI robot in Spotify Corp gives you. And then you can go to our Substack, our Instagram, our Patreon, and we actually will share the links to those playlists on Spotify and on Apple Music and Deezer and all of these sources so that you can actually go listen to them after you listen to our podcast.
The playlists are linked on every single podcast. So when you listen to the podcast on Spotify, the playlist is linked right there. So you can find the playlists everywhere. And I just want people to remember that these playlists are really accessible and easy, and you can find it anywhere. The idea is, we just want people to listen to the music.
Just listen to it, please. Sports. Well, there's way more than sports. Here we go. Week 6 podcast playlist. Richie. Brrr. Wham. Where are we at? Can you see it?
The last of the mullets. I'm excited about that.
Okay, I'm glad you went to that one, because that was one that I.
At the Copa.
It's off the cuff.
Copacabana. I'm excited to know why you have that. Oh, Eartha Kitt? Oh, Richie. All right. Please begin.
This playlist is all over the place. There's like so much to uncover in here. So I'm going to start at the very top.
Okay.
La Barbacoa by Georgie
Yum.
Dan. Yeah, it means the barbecue. This is like a summer anthem for Spain. The song is super cheesy and hokey. It's just like talking about how delicious barbecue is. And about maybe 7 years ago now, we had some friends getting married in Spain, in Mallorca. And so we went, and this song played probably 100 times, and I thought it was hilarious. And Spain has now won the World Cup. Spoiler alert: they beat Argentina 1-0 in a pretty boring match. And this song, I was like, oh yeah, that song. I remember this song. This guy, I don't know what it is, but he always comes up with like the summer anthem. And it's not like our summer anthems with Rihanna will come out with some big pop music song or Shakira years ago. It's hokey and it's fun. And if next time you're outside having a little barbecue, put this on and enjoy Georgie Dan's La Barbacoa. So I'm starting us off with a song from Spain. By the way, Spain, we went to Mallorca, and it's like all of the Germans come to Mallorca for vacation.
Yeah.
And so somebody told me it's actually
it's like little Germany.
Yeah, it's like a German state basically, but it's this cool little island. It's like right there in the Mediterranean. It's beautiful, and yeah. So shout out to my Spanish friends there.
That sounds fun.
Introduced La Barbacoa.
I'm excited to hear it.
Get into it. The second one there is Buffalo Springfield. So I started to think a little bit. I mentioned we were in DC, and I had to go see it. I had to go down to the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington, the whole mall there. If you're not familiar with it, there is a big reflecting pool. It's huge. I don't know, maybe it's like a quarter mile long, and it's beautiful. It always attracts people to come look at it. The best example of this in film is probably in Forrest Gump, when Forrest and Jenny, they like meet in the middle of this pool, and they hug, and it's this beautiful scene. Recently, it has been drained, and it's like weirdly occurring during America's 250th birthday, which is supposed to be this big event, and it's really strange to see it like fenced off. You can't even see it from most sides except from the Lincoln Memorial, and it's like it's kind of moldy or algae or whatever it is, and drain. I don't know. It just was kind of a strange sight. So I took some pictures of it.
Heavy.
Yeah,
that's
there's a lot.
Heavy.
There's so much symbolism in there. Whatever your political bent is, looking at the reflecting pool with that going on during this like America birthday thing, it was strange, and it made me think of things that are not what they seem like. And in this song in particular, this Buffalo Springfield song, it always plays as the Vietnam song. Like anytime you see a movie that highlights Vietnam, like Forrest Gump, this song plays, and I don't know why. It's always like this is the Vietnam song.
Wow.
But it has nothing to do with Vietnam. It's about in 1966, there were basically curfews that Los Angeles imposed, and people rebelled against it. And there was this huge like police crackdown. There's a lot of violence, and so Buffalo Springfield wrote this song about that. And some of the lyrics, it's like you can, if you dive into it more, you can hear it. But It's like there's something happening here. Like it's kind of a little vaguely talking about what's going on. He's like reflecting on this event and
Reflecting. Sorry.
reflect. See, we bring it back. Entry Points Radio. It all comes back to
Bringing it back.
yeah.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that about this song.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. And like, there's so many
Wow.
songs, the more you think about it, that like the artist writes this and we interpret it our own ways. This one, for whatever reason, just keeps getting put into like Vietnam films and it has nothing to do with it whatsoever. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. Like you could kind of imagine it could be about Vietnam, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's about these like curfew riots in Los Angeles back in 1966, which is where I
Wow.
live now. So there's some
Yeah.
context there. Anyway, all right, moving down the list.
Wow.
In DC, I actually got to spend just like a quick like hour and a half with a friend of mine. I went on tour one time with Brent Burkhead and his amazing band. His piano player happened to be in town, and so I wanted to put this song in there. But I'm going to tell a story about the tour, which has nothing to do with my trip to DC.
You had, I remember this though. You had such a good time with these guys.
I love these guys, and
Yeah.
they're incredible musicians. So we went part of these tours that I used to run before all of the funding evaporated. The State Department would take these amazing American musicians and send them out into the world to perform and collaborate and do workshops. And I thought it was a really fabulous tour. It started back in the 50s during the civil rights era. It was called the Jazz Ambassadors Program. And so they would take these incredible jazz musicians, send them to the Soviet Union with this idea of trying to combat propaganda against the U.S. What they did is they actually talked about their real lived experience. I mean, you're talking, this is the civil rights era, and you're sending Black artists with this like real lived experience that are dealing with racism and push back against voting rights and everything. And they would actually just be honest about it. Somebody say, "Oh, is there racism in America? I heard that on the news here in my Soviet news channel." And they would say, "Yeah, there is." And it turned out to have this really incredible and deep effect that sort of humanized the rest of America and broke down a lot of barriers between people who lived in the Soviet Union and people who lived in America.
Who knew that just being an honest human being and talking about the difficulties in where you live could actually bring people closer and make them respect each other even more?
Exactly.
Who knew?
Who knew,
Sorry.
Kate? Well, it's scary and it's vulnerable. It would be really nice to say, like, there are no problems here. But the phrase is it's towards a more perfect union, which means that it's not there yet. We're always, like, getting better. We're always trying to improve. And, like, acknowledging that is a really good and valuable and honest and thoughtful step. Rather than saying we're perfect, it's so much better just to be real about it.
You know, Richie, I think about this a lot when it comes to just friendships even. I've never had a friendship that has been truly deep and truly real and truly long-lasting, where we have never had conflict and we have never had disagreement and where we've never made mistakes with each other. And I think you and I have talked about this, in our friendship. We've been friends for so long and we've gone through so many different things together of so many different kinds. And every time we get closer is when one of us makes a mistake. Is when we get in some kind of a fight. And sometimes it's not like, oh, it's both of our faults. Sometimes it's like, I was or like this, I said this thing wrong, or like, maybe I should have done this differently. And I think that being able to acknowledge the problems and work through the problems together and acknowledge where the problems came from and all that, that's what makes friendships stronger. And I don't get this idea of propaganda that it's like everything has to look perfect for the optics. It's like, what if what makes America great is actually the problems and us trying to work through the problems and not just being like, yeah, we're perfect. We're, anyway.
I love that. I think that what a clear way to say that.
Life is
Right.
complicated and messy, and we're messy. And thank God for that. That's what makes us human.
Was that an Argentina reference? We are messy.
No, that wasn't. And I'm so tired of sports. I'm going to put a moratorium on World Cup sports jokes. I'm tired of it.
All right. So anyway, so we went.
Sorry. Yeah.
Dealing with problems. This was one of the best shows and performances that I've ever been a part of. And the reason why is we went to Zimbabwe and Bulawayo. We went down in the country. It wasn't just the capital of Zimbabwe, but it was in sort of a smaller city. And as is the case with a lot of places like this, there were some power issues, and literally right as they're about to go on stage, the power in the auditorium went off. Not even just like a flicker, it just off, and microphones off, lights are off. So they cleared the audience out of there because it's pitch black. They just said, we got to move to the lobby. They did that. I took the band backstage because I was like, let's just wait this out and we'll figure out what happens. And nobody knows. And at some point we were like, this might be all night, and we have these people here and you're here. And I saw a piano in the like closet right there, right by the lobby. So I was like, Buto, let's go. We're going to push this upright piano over the bump of the door, and we're going to push it into the lobby. So we get Noble out there, Noble Jolly, who's just like incredible piano player. And so he starts playing. And then the rest of the band is around too. So Brent is on saxophone. So he comes out and he starts playing. And then like we get Romer. I think we had like an upright or something that he could kind of play. And then we went on stage and grabbed the snare drum. Tyler had already set his drum kit up, but he was like, let's just get a snare and bring it out and put like a chair out there. And so for about like 30 minutes, we're just out in the lobby. These guys are playing acoustic jazz music, and people are going crazy because it's real. It's yeah. It's hot. It's sweaty because, of course, the air conditioning is off. You have like these backup generator lights running in the lobby, and they're just like blasting away on on the keys that are sort of out of tune, and the snare drum is all he's got, so he can only do so much. It was incredible. It was amazing. And Brent, like, he's a killer saxophone player, and so he's out there like dancing around and playing these songs that people kind of know already, and really like just working the crowd with music. And that was one of the coolest experiences I have. And I didn't have to do anything. I just pushed the piano out there and let them do their thing. This song Cacao is something Brent was working on at that time during that tour, and they did a live album that they just released at the Keystone Corner over there.
Awesome.
In the DMV area. So I wanted to make sure that made the list.
I love that. I feel like this is becoming an interesting theme that I don't think either of us were expecting in a number of our podcasts, including, remember when we had Carl, DJ Invisible, on, and we were talking about the Roof of the World Festival and how, like, we would enjoy Beyonce just, like, there so much more, just, like, stripped down and human, you know?
Also, shout out to CV Dashil. He's their normal, I don't want to say normal, but he was the other drummer that did the tour later on, but so they kind of switched out drummers. But there was a great band. I really enjoyed traveling with them. So I'm gonna jump down a little bit in here. I'm gonna go all the way down to Battle of Bull Run. There's a couple versions of this. The original one is by Johnny Horton, and my cousin that I got to visit a couple days ago, he took me over to Manassas, which is the home of the first Civil War battle. I'm from Colorado. We don't like dive into a lot of like the East Coast Civil War history stuff. So it was never something that I was really, I don't want to say that interested in, but like I wasn't, to be really honest. But I was curious. So we went out, and they actually had a Civil War reenactment going on. Like the battle had happened almost exactly on this day, it was, hundreds of years ago. And it was a time when the Union was trying to get to Richmond, and the Confederates were trying to come up, and it was the first battle. And so everybody was kind of like a little disorganized, a little poorly trained. All of the soldiers were a little green. And so there was this mistake that happened in the battle where whatever guy was running the Union army, he takes his battalion or a couple of the long range guns over to the side and tries to take out the Confederate long range guns. In the process, he gets overrun, and the Confederates win the battle, and the Union retreats. And the knock-on effect of that is that the war drags on longer until Lee can be pulled in and become the general for the South, and it becomes a much, much, much bigger thing, and everybody gets more organized. And I was thinking, like, it all boiled down to this one decision. And this song, it's kind of like a rally cry to the Union soldiers to drive the Confederates back to Atlanta and down south, and they didn't, and it didn't happen. And had it happened, I wonder if history would have been different at all, or if the Civil War would have been as bloody and awful as it was. I don't want to like give too much commentary about that, but
Yeah.
I don't want to glorify it or cosplay it as this like fun thing. It was interesting, and you know, I learned things on that
Yeah.
day, and it humanized it for me even beyond just like a textbook that I had in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoy The Battle of
Yeah.
Bull Run by
Hey.
Chile and Friends. I couldn't find the Johnny Horton version because it's not on Spotify, but maybe we'll put that one on the Apple list instead.
Okay. We'll see.
All right, moving on. While I was in D.C., we got to go to the newly opened Museum of Diplomacy, which,
Right.
yeah, it
That's
like just
right.
opened up. We were the second group ever to have a tour of it, and it was kind of cool to see. The main thing in there was this huge exhibit for Madeleine Albright, who was an amazing diplomat for a long time for the United States. And she has this whole thing where she would wear pins, and she would put pins on her whatever she was wearing, her lapel, as a means of like wanting to show a little bit extra about what she really wanted to say. So there's stories about like, you know, when she was confronting somebody that they suspected of spying on the US, she would wear like a bug pin. And I didn't know what to find for her for that. There's not like a lot of songs about Madeleine Albright, but I did find this one, Maiden Voyage. Herbie Hancock played this at her funeral,
Oh,
and
wow.
so I wanted to like put something in there for her
Yeah.
because I think, you know, having somebody like her highlighted in this museum and her work towards diplomacy in general, I think it plays into, in sort of a satellite way, what we're doing with music.
And Herbie Hancock is amazing.
And
That's
Herbie-
fun.
Yeah, a tie back as well to like the
Yeah.
Jazz Ambassadors program.
Right.
So moving down a little further, everybody's heard this song probably over the last 2 weeks, especially if you're in the U.S. and you went to a fireworks show. Born in the USA. This song is another one of the songs that is like not what you think it is. And
Really?
yeah, Bruce Springsteen, he's a huge pop star and writes a lot of songs that are just like beautiful pop songs. But this song is about kind of like economic hardship in the States. It's about talks about Vietnam veterans. It talks about like broken promises from the government and like working class people. It's really like,
I didn't know.
when you look at the title, you're like, oh, Born in the USA, America, yay,
Right.
waving the flag. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier with Buffalo Springfield. Like, we kind of take from it what we want to take from it. And that's maybe the beauty of music. But he's really acknowledging the problems in the
Yeah.
States and the
Yeah.
issues that are there. And if you dig deeper into it, you really get a closer, more critical look at the U.S.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I'm gonna go all the way to the end there. Eartha Kitt, who is amazing. I think most people might know her from the Santa Baby song,
Santa Baby.
or if you're a Disney fan, Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
Hmm.
She was Yzma's voice. But she has this incredibly long career as a vocalist and voiceover artist.
Broadway star.
And Broadway star, yes.
Mhm.
Like amazing. And she was blown up. Like she was huge, so much so that they actually invited her to the White House. And she went and sat down with Lady Bird Johnson's, Lyndon B. Johnson's wife, the First Lady. And Eartha Kitt wanted to talk about the Vietnam War. She didn't like that they were sending our citizens over to fight in this thing, and really kind of made her point to speak her mind during this luncheon. And allegedly, it made Lady Bird Johnson cry. And after that, Eartha Kitt's career went off the cliff. And so like she wasn't getting roles anymore. Her concerts were just canceled. You know, you make a few phone calls as the president. You made my wife cry. I'd like not to have this show go on anymore. And so I wanted to make sure that she was included in this list. This is just like a fun little song. Like let's do it. Let's fall in love. In the same way as like Santa Baby is cute. It's the same thing, but like kind of a pop song.
Richie, I have to say, it's really interesting to hear you say this about Eartha Kitt's career. As far as I ever knew about Eartha Kitt, she's one of the most legendary jazz singers and Broadway singers like alive. I didn't even know that she was blacklisted. For me, it's like, wow, good for her that she maintained and built this legendary status even after something like that happened to her. I feel like a lot of your songs this week seem to be about these hidden meanings or things that we don't know. And I think that's kind of interesting because someone like Eartha Kitt to me is just like There's no question who she is. What are you going to do with Barry Manilow? I want to know that.
Well, one last thing about Eartha Kitt.
Okay.
She played Catwoman and has this like, it's like iconic. If you don't know her from anything else, that might be where you know her from. But Barry Manilow, this song played as we were driving from Denver to LA, and we listened to it. We're like, this is like a fun kind of like loungy, disco-y song. And you don't really think of like heavy topics with Barry Manilow, but the showgirl Lola in this song, which I don't know, maybe I just had never heard beyond verse 1, but basically like she falls into this like heavy depression and darkness. There's like a shooting at the club at the Copacabana, and so it was just another song where it's like, this song is like, there's way more to this song than I had ever thought before. And so Barry Manilow is on the list this week.
Very cool.
I'm gonna move up from there. So Caterpillar, I'm including New Day. New Day, they are an artist that just got into the Recording Academy. They were part of a program that we did in Colombia, and just really like one of the coolest, most like focused people that I've ever worked with. Great voice, great writing, and over the last many years they've been going through a transition, and it kind of made me think like, okay, there's more to Day than meets the eye, and so I wanted to include Day in there as like just a really cool artist. And also like Caterpillar, the way they say Caterpillar in this song, I don't know, it tickles my brain a little bit. So
where are they from?
So Day is from Barbados, and yeah, just like wrote really cool stuff and wrote cool music.
Okay.
My dear friend Priska, who wrote a recommendation letter for me for the Recording Academy, is on the list. She wrote this song and performed it at an a cappella conference that I was at. If you've never been to an a cappella camp, in this case, Camp A Cappella, it is like a summer camp meets Glee Club meets camping. It's like a week of just singing with people that you get along with and staying up really late and probably drinking too many beers. And it's a really good time. But Priska, who is this fabulous singer and songwriter in her own right, did this on a piano, which breaks all of the a cappella rules. A cappella is supposed to be all vocal, and Priska used a keyboard to play this song, and it's beautiful. Anyway, it's kind of like what's beneath the skin or beneath what your appearances are, and it was a beautiful moment.
Very cool.
The other 3 songs are just songs that I like, and there's no deep meaning to them. Last of the Mullets is a Denver band, and so I had to include some of my like hometown band.
Yeah.
I just play it really loud and blast it in your car, because that was exactly what I did. If you have a Saturn, you're living the
You love that
experience.
Saturn.
I love that.
Did you ever
Saturn.
name the Saturn?
No, I'm not a car namer. I'm just not.
I know.
But Last of the Mullets, the Gamuts, they at one point they were looking for a new guitarist, and this was a time when I had learned guitar and I was getting pretty good at it, and also like thought, oh, maybe I could be a musician. And one of their requirements was like, must drink a lot of beer. And at the time I was like, I didn't drink anything. I was teetotaling. And so I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can hang with these guys. But now I'm like, well, I drink beer now and I play guitar. So maybe I'll dig up that application from 20 years ago and apply it to
I gotta get a
the
mullet.
Gamuts guitar. I do. Carry Me Home is, I don't want to swear, it's a great song. It is a song that I learned on guitar, and I used it to apply to be the Jesus Christ Superstar
Yes.
pit crew guitarist.
Yes.
So when I was in high school, I was a soccer player for a long time. I wasn't very good, but it was just something I did all the time. And I remember there was one year that I took a theater class, and my theater teacher was like, Richie, you should come and audition. You have a low voice, and we want you to audition for it wasn't Judas. There's somebody in Jesus Christ Superstar that has a super low voice, and based on my lack of knowledge of it, you can tell that I didn't even apply for it. I went into the theater and I chickened out. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, and I left. And my backup plan was like, all right, I'd still like to do this because this seems like a lot of fun. So I actually went and auditioned to play the guitar, and I used this song as like the audition song. I sat in our crummy little music, like the trailer building that they give every music program in the US. And Mr. DiNapoli sat there, and I turned my amp up and probably played this like mediocrely well enough
Aw.
though to get the job. I will never forget though. It was cool because during Jesus Christ Superstar, there's this like long set break where they need like a minute of music, and they were like, you just play something, Richie. And so I came up with this like little solo, and it was like completely out of place because
Yeah.
it's just me as a high school student trying to write music and come up with a thing. And it was cool. Like it was fun. I played the same thing every single time, and nobody was really that impressed. But Blake came up to me. He was like, "That was good. The guy that played this last year, now he was really good. He was amazing. But you're good, Richie." But having that kind of feedback was incredible. It's like led to the rest of my life to trying to improve and become a better musician. So, Mr. DiNapoli, this one is on there for you. And the last one,
Mr.
Annie Up,
DiNapoli.
is just it's just a great hype up song. My brother and I listened to it on like the day before I left Denver and came out here.
Aw.
But the best video of this is they've synced it up with Bert and Ernie, and and yeah, and it has the two of them playing.
That's
So
awesome. I
that's
love
it.
Busta Rhymes.
That's my list. I know it's all over the place. It does have like this theme of like layers underneath each one of these songs. And having spent the last week or so in DC, I wanted to put something on there that is like, yes, America, but ... There's so much more to discover and unearth and reconcile, and so that's my list this
That's
week.
awesome. That's a great list. I'm excited to hear all of these. I'm excited to hear the darkness in Copacabana.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
really a fun fact.
Right. And then refresh your palate with La Barbacoa. Maybe that should go last to be like, oh, okay, let's just have some hamburgers now or whatever. All right, that's my list.
That's amazing.
Yay, thank you.
Yay, we're back in it.
We're back in it. All right.
That's
Any
very,
questions,
very cool.
thoughts, comments? Move on. Let's just move on.
I mean, I have too many questions, thoughts, and comments. The truth is, I feel like I'm in a mood today, and I didn't know I was until we started the podcast. And I think that my mood right now is just, it's America's 250th birthday. And I just keep thinking back to like Africa and how strange and arbitrary the line between Uganda and Rwanda is, and how, like, who named these countries, and what were the boundaries before, and what makes America, and what is the 250th birthday, and why do we care? And like, the funding is given to artists if we fulfill the needs of the institutional funders, and the needs are usually always just in their best interest. And you have to wonder if the most powerful moments in cultural diplomacy were things like the jazz ambassadors just telling the truth about their experience dealing with racism in America, and like connecting with Russians as actual human beings and talking about the problems. And if the most powerful moments in Zimbabwe on your tour was when the power went out and the band was just jamming together in this like totally messy situation. I guess there's this thing inside of me lately that just feels, I'm so tired of the sheen and the bullshit, and it feels like so much of everything right now. You know, there are all of these artists wanting to put on programs, and artists aren't getting paid any money. They're not able to express necessarily even what they want to express, or they express it under the limitations of what they're being funded to do. And I don't know, I just wonder, Richie, like, the whole idea behind what we're doing with entry points is wanting to try to create access for people into, you know, different worlds and communities and styles and stories that they might not otherwise access. And sometimes I get this darkness inside of me that I think, do people even care? Do they want to? Do they just want to, you know, go to the sports bar and watch sports and drink a bunch of beer and drink the same beer they always drink, and drink, you know, whatever beer is like the cheap beer of their particular region, and talk shit about whatever team, and you know, just the usual? Is that just what people want? Are we like pushing for this world that the world doesn't even want, or does the world want it and people don't even know what they want? And when do you decide what they... Anyway, that's what's going through my head today. And hearing your list and thinking about how you took this kind of assignment of like, I'm in DC, I'm going to learn about like these historical things and about diplomacy. And you turned it into this really interesting perspective of like, there were all of these songs that Americans know really well and artists that Americans know really well, but we never actually listened to the words behind what the artist was singing. And Bruce Springsteen wrote Born in the USA to be like a deeper song about what's real. And it turned into this, they play a little digestible clip of it at all the sporting events and all the 4th of July celebrations. And I don't know, I'm going off here, but I've been
I don't
processing a lot of this lately. Like, yeah,
this I think what you're expressing is probably what a lot of people are, it's easy for us to say like, all right, I'm just going to pick this side and I'm forever on this side or that side or whatever, to actually sit there and process all of this stuff and also recognize that our lives are finite, and we don't have, either the faculty or the time sometimes to solve all,
right.
if not any of these problems. And so you have to choose between, I'm just going to have a nice day and not think about this and carry on, or I'm going to become an, full advocate and devote my life. Like, there, middle ground is hard to find. And I think my playlist is sort of this, like, how do I reconcile with all of this stuff? Some of the songs in there are just ones that I liked and that I would
Yeah.
sing because, it was my brother and I get to yell and scream in a car. And some of them are like, all right, like, this might ruin the song for you legitimately. Like, if you actually listen to some of these tracks and what they're actually saying, it contradicts some of the meaning. And it all struck me when we went to Manassas and we were sitting in there. There was a guy that was sitting there drawing and kind of like sketching what the enactors were doing. And to me, I was like, I had to really think, like, what is going through this guy's head? Is he just like that geeked out about Civil War stuff? Is he trying to like understand the Union versus Confederacy? Like, there was a guy there with like, he was wearing Confederate flag shirts on his logos on his shirt. And I'm like, there's just so much to like unpack and reconcile in your life and my life. And maybe, maybe at some point it's okay just to listen to Bruce Springsteen and enjoy Born in the USA.
Oh, it
But
has
maybe
to
there's
be.
opportunity
Yeah.
when you have time and when you have, space mentally and physically and all that, to just say like, all right, maybe there are some things. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No,
There's a
I
lot.
mean, I get it. And there's also, it's funny because where my brain is right now, I think about that guy who's passionate enough about Civil War history in Manassas that he's sitting there wearing that costume. And to my question of, do you do the thing that people don't really want and don't really care about? And why do you do it? And I think a lot of times treasuring history and caring about history and continuing to tell the stories. I think
Mm,
it's the thankless job to a certain degree, just like the arts very often can feel like a thankless job. It's a
yeah.
good thing that we love it, because we certainly don't make much money and we don't get a lot of support to do the things that we really want to do, but then people love the things that we really want to do when we actually do them. Um and it's interesting. You just kind of have to ask yourself a lot, like, does that man matter? And he has to matter because if he doesn't do that job, those
Mm,
stories don't keep getting told. And we might find it kind of corny sometimes or, like kind of weird. If that part of the story stops being told because we want to, just tell the pretty perfect, contained side of it, then we don't have to actually contend with what makes us human, which is like anyway. Oh God, my brain today. I don't know what's come over me.
well, it's only the deepest argument in the entire history of the United States. So if you can't sum it up in 1 minute sound bites, how dare you?
Yeah. I think the other thing that's making me this way today is what's happening in India.
Mm,
There's always something happening in some place in the world, and we can't cover every single thing all the time, but I lived in India, and knowing
yeah.
that right now there are people my age and younger and older who are like literally willing to die of starvation to make a change, and changes that frankly a lot of places need. I'll just put
Mm.
it that way. Um, I literally this morning was asking myself, would that happen here? Would people do that here? And I sometimes wonder if we've got the social media feed, we've got the dopamine hits coming from every angle, and it's easily accessible. It's very easy for us to get our dopamine hit, whether
Mm.
it's food or social media or TV or Spotify or whatever. Like it's been created so that dopamine is very easily accessible. And so as soon as we start to have these feelings of like, this doesn't feel right, something feels off, instead of like really
Swipe.
thinking about exactly.
Mm.
And I guess I've been feeling really emotional today about these young people in India that are, they're so fed up that they're willing to die of hunger just to try to create a change in their education system, and they're not being met with um any concession from the government, any
Mm.
acknowledgement, anything other than you know, the usual bad stuff. Anyway, it's just, yeah, there's something under the surface here that uh and it all comes back to this weird World Cup experience. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh. Yeah, for the amount of players that are, if you were to add up all of the players that played in the World Cup, it's this like tiny fraction of all of these populations.
I just wonder what's going to happen.
But my friend the other day said that years ago there was a ferret that found its way into the CERN super collider, and so there's this like theory that the ferret if ferret or weasel, it's the same, that we are in some alternate timeline now because you're shooting electrons and changing the nature of time space. So that's probably
Thank you. I needed that.
it's probably what it is. That's the
That
only,
was
well,
really, thank
it's
you
the
for
only
that.
explanation that I have at
That's
this
the
point.
best
So
explanation there could be. There is a ferret in the super collider is what I am feeling right now. And there is the title of week 6, a ferret in the super collider. Oh, Richie, that was so good.
non-zero
Okay.
chance. All right, Kate, I want to get to your list. Are you
I
ready?
don't
Can
even
we
remember.
jump into it?
Yes, let's jump into it. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, here you go. There it is. All right. What am I looking at?
You're looking at a long list, Richie.
Yeah, you beat me. I had 13, and that was with extra additions. You have 17, which I'm sure includes some
I had to
that you
delete.
kept out.
Yeah.
All right. Joseph is in the list. All right. What's up, Joseph?
This is in the list.
Oh, do you see me? I'm Little Richard. Yes. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what's funny? I was gonna put a Little Richard song into mine, but I didn't.
But you didn't.
Instead,
didn't. I did. I beat
You
you to
did.
Little Richard. Ha 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 ha.
That's to go in line with my
Put that in your bag.
podcast that doesn't exist yet. Maybe someday I'll just do an All Richard podcast or All Richard playlist. Anyway, all right, K-Bass, tell us about your list. Is there a through line? Is there things we need to know?
There isn't really a through line. Most weeks I just kind of like, when there's a song that comes up that I'm like, oh, or a moment that makes me think of a song, I just put the song on the list and then I kind of go through it and figure it out. And I guess you mentioned Joseph, so I'm actually going to start with Joseph, which is that, so Joseph Imanzi is a very, very, very dear friend of mine and a friend of both of ours from our work in Uganda. Joseph is this incredibly talented, multi-talented. He plays guitar, he sings, he writes songs. He's an amazing producer. He's just such a smart, multifaceted artist and just also a great guy. I've gotten to kind of go all over Uganda now with Joseph. We went to Western Uganda when I was in Uganda for the Conversations project that we did. We went to Western Uganda and got to go see these caves that there are these legends of the ancient people in Uganda called the Bachwezi. That's a whole story. There's a whole world there to explore someday. And anyway, when I was doing the Conversations project with Joseph and another wonderful Ugandan musician, Andrea Baguma, we had a final performance in Kampala at a place called the Nyungu Yamawe Forest Park. We had this giant bonfire. We set it up really cool. A lot of people came. I think we had hundreds of people there. What we did was we had a number of different poets and actors and spoken word artists kind of tell stories or recite something in the beginning from the different parts of Uganda, because there are so many different languages and tribes and histories all over what is now called Uganda. And one of the spoken word artists, who's also a friend who I met through all of my friends in Uganda, is Mitch, is Sabir Mitch here. And the reason why I put the song on my list was that this week, so Mitch is doing all kinds of amazing stuff. He's an incredible poet and has this deep, like passionate voice. That just when he does spoken word, even there's a lot that he does in languages that I don't understand. And I still just love, there's so much emotion that you can tell from the way that he recites it. And and then when I learn the words, I'm always like, oh my God, it's just, he's so talented. So anyway, he had posted recently on Instagram, he was doing a project, I think in collaboration with the EU or something like that, that was about climate change and how it's impacting Uganda. And it was so powerful. It was so beautifully done. And I was just reflecting on how lucky we are, Richie. Like, what an honor it is that we have gotten to travel the world and meet people who are so wildly talented. And what an honor to get to know artists like Joseph and Mitch, and to get to have that entry point, that view into spoken word art in Kampala, Uganda. And it's so cool. Like you were talking in our first episode about how we kind of underestimate the importance of the cool factor when it comes to appreciating art. So anyway, Mitch is featured on this track, and it's just also a catchy track. And Joseph is singing on it. Joseph was the producer on our Conversations album, and Richie and I worked with Joseph for many years, and he would do different things. He would be the guy playing guitar. He would be one of the people singing. He'd be, and so anyway, he runs a really great studio in Uganda called Mulika Studios, and they really kind of intentionally try to support local and regional art forms, and not just the most mainstream stuff coming out of Uganda. And they're doing some really, really cool things. So anyway, it was just cool to get to hear Joseph singing. There are certain little Ugandan linguistic things too that I heard in this song that like brought back a lot of memories for me. Like he talks about how he's waiting for some ka money, and in Uganda the word ka is a little prefix in at least in Luganda. Little, small,
little.
Waiting for some ka money. I mean, they would talk about how they have their phone, and then they'd have a little phone that they would take with them, out places, and that was their ka phone. It's just a really cute term. And so hearing him say that, and I have so many memories of just hanging out with Joseph in Uganda. We'd be like wildly late for some appointment, and him and Andrea would just be like jamming out on their guitars, singing whatever, just like randomly harmonizing. And I just love that guy so much. And so anyway, that is Nzija. Yeah.
Nzija.
Waves by, I think it's Sana. I don't know how you say her name. I learned about her when I was living in the Netherlands for a very short period of time, a couple summers back. I went and just, I had some plans to be living somewhere else that fell through. When my plans to move to one country fell through, I was like, well, what now? And I called up my dear friend Catherine Dane, who has a house in Rotterdam and has a little attic that she had been kind of fixing up that had a little bed by a window. And so I just had this, weird time in my life where for a few months I just lived in my friend's attic in Rotterdam, and was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess I'll ride my bikes around the canals in Rotterdam and learn more about the music out there. And we had actually kind of talked about doing some global music collective work out there, because Rotterdam has this very interesting immigrant culture, and there are a lot of refugees from other countries who move to the Netherlands because they're a pretty hospitable place for that. Anyway, Sana is Dutch, and I was just intrigued when I was out there. I was thinking about it, like, what's the kind of interesting indie music coming out of some of these places like the Netherlands, I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't know a lot of them. And so anyway, my friends told me about her, and I looked her up, and I was just blown away. She's just really interesting, really good. And this song just really gets in your head. So I put that on. Great. Lucille came on my car, and I was like, all right, Lil Richard, like, he never disappoints. That's all I got to say about that one.
By the way, I had a Little Richard like trivia tidbit that I heard the other day, and because he was so famous at the time and like couldn't go anywhere without people like mobbing him, and he had different shows, he had hired a double sometimes to stand in for him at shows, or like as you do, and that double was James Brown.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah. And like,
that's
I don't
awesome.
think, anyway, sorry, I'm totally taking off track.
Energy is a song by a Zambian rapper named Sampa the Great. She's just such a badass. I don't know if you know her. She writes a lot of stuff about feminism, about, social issues. She's super strong. This song is, I don't even know how I discovered it. I'm sure someone at some point told me about it, and it kept coming on while I was packing and moving. And it's kind of funny because it's all about like feminine energy, and so it was kind of fun as I'm like, putting my whole life together again and taking it apart, putting it together. It was kind of funny to just be like, yeah, I can do this.
I love it.
Utopia and Duduke. Oh, Duduke is this song, I guess, got really famous in 2020. Duduke, Duduke. It's Afrobeats tune. And I don't remember where Simi is from. I think she might be Nigerian. I think she's probably Nigerian. And it's just a great, great song. Again, it was just playing while I was moving. And I don't know, summer and Afrobeats just go together so well for me. I just feel like Afrobeats have such a kind of, it's a laid back, sunny day.
It is. It's interesting with Afrobeats too, is that it like kind of defines a region of
Yeah.
the world. And I know, like, you think of India, you think of Bollywood, you think of, K-pop and J-pop now, but for that, the staying power for decades of this style of music to kind of permeate it, like, I don't know, I find that really interesting. By the way, she is from, I just looked it up, she's from Surulere, Lagos, in Nigeria.
Awesome. I was
And
right. I love it when I'm right.
you did it. Well done.
There's so many really great like female artists coming out of Nigeria. I mean, they're great female artists coming out of everywhere, but anywho,
Anywho,
yeah,
yeah.
I love that song. I love Afrobeats. I love Africa. I feel like there's so much richness in
Yeah.
that entire continent, and there are so many cultures and histories and stories and musical styles and artistic styles and um, intellectual thought leaders that have. I love Africa. I'm so honored to have gotten to spend as much time as I've gotten to spend in different parts of Africa. And I hope so much that we get to do more work out there. And I hope that the world continues to learn more and more about all of the great stuff coming out of there.
Yeah, totally. All right, so you were talking about Duduke and Utopia.
Utopia is a great vibe.
Where did you find them again? Where did you find those songs? Just like something that you had in your ear
It's so
from.
hard to know. I mean, a lot of these songs were when I was in Uganda. A lot of people shared their playlists with me, and it wasn't just in Uganda. I mean, when we were doing programs during COVID, you and me, when we were doing a lot of programs online for these embassy-sponsored programs, I would ask all of the songwriters I was working with if they could tell me what some of their favorite songs were. So a lot of this comes from that. But then some of it could have just popped up on one of my playlists at some point in time. It's kind of hard to know.
Nice. I love it.
Distas 2 is from India, and it's my friend Abhishek is singing. And I just did a performance in January in India with Abhishek, and he's just like this towering, really awesome guy and an incredible singer, just absolutely beautiful singer. He does a lot of what they call playback singing for Bollywood music, which means in Bollywood, they still kind of have like the actors and the actors lip sync, and there are singers who kind of take over the music. And so Abhishek does a lot of that, and his voice is just amazing. And anyway, this song came up while I was moving, and I was like, oh, this is super awesome. And I was really enjoying it. And then I looked at it and I saw that it was Abhishek. It was my friend. And it was just it was such a cool moment of being just really honored to get to have had these opportunities in so many different ways through the work that we've done, to get to work with people who are really like really successful and amazing musicians all over the world. Yeah, it's just an honor.
This,
so anyway,
I'm curious, what does it mean?
It's a love song.
These days too.
So much of Bollywood is love songs.
Of course.
Le Pas de l'eau is Constantinople is actually an early music ensemble, which I thought was very interesting. A lot of musicians who play Baroque music there, I believe they're based in Europe. I love that they did this collaboration with a kora player. Kora is a really amazing African instrument. I think probably a lot of people have seen it. It's that stringed, almost harp-like instrument that has kind of a bulb at the bottom, and it has a really long, like outstretched arm. Have you seen this instrument, Richie? Do you know the kora?
I'm looking it up to make sure. I've probably seen it, but I don't know if I know it.
It's spelled Kora, and a lot of people have heard it or kind of come across it. It's a pretty famous, like, traditional African instrument. You've heard
It's
it in a lot of stuff.
it says it has 21 strings.
Yeah,
That's
it's
wild.
this super, it's very, it's funny to me, there's almost a sitar vibe about it because like the sitar also has this kind of large bulb on the bottom and a really long
Yeah. No,
multi-stringed.
this not to like make it about me, but
You can make it
we
right here.
we had a tour in Senegal, and we did this big outdoor concert at this really cool like advocacy arts stage, and there was a guy there that played the kora,
Hmm.
and he came up and like he joined on stage, and I started like beatboxing with him, and we had this really cool moment where he was playing this really traditional older instrument, and I was with playing
That's
along with him.
awesome.
And
That's
I have
awesome.
a video somewhere, but yeah, I had to look it up to see what it looked like, but now I remember like
I think it is
this guy
traditionally
being on stage with us.
Senegalese, isn't it? I think it's from that region
Yeah,
originally.
that region is it includes a lot: Senegal, Guinea, Mali, the Gambia.
Hmm.
Yeah, arts kind of doesn't really care as much about the boundaries, as you
Yeah.
know, and so yeah, it's from around there.
Yeah.
Says Google.
Well, so, I mean, hey, that's what we got right now. I actually don't know these people. I've never worked with either of them. And what I love about this song is it just has such a, it's like an unplaceable vibe. There's a beat to it that's really, I don't know, it feels very soulful to me. It speaks to this place kind of that feels older inside of me when I hear it. And it's just so beautiful. The mixture of these, I think they're Baroque Western classical instruments mixed with a kora player and what they've just kind of, the sound they've gotten together is just really, really beautiful. So I love that song. I love that recording. Okay, so Door is just a song I love. I've listened to it at a lot of transitional moments in my life, and this has been a transitional period for me in a good way. It's been a very exciting move. I moved to a new part of Austin. I've made a lot of new friends lately that have just kind of opened a lot of doors for me, and doors just meaning to the life that I would like to be having here in Austin. When I moved to Austin, I wasn't really sure that this was where I wanted to be. My family's here. It's a good place for artists to live. It's less expensive than a lot of other American cities that are famous for the arts. And Austin does have a lot of arts. And yet, when I first moved here, I was coming here from India. I had a beautiful life in Mumbai that I wasn't really ready to leave and didn't really want to leave. But life handed me some circumstances that it became necessary. And so it's taken me a while to discover the side of Austin that I feel I fit in and that makes me
Hmm.
happy. And I think this song Door, the chorus, she keeps saying, this door opens another door, that opens another door and another door and another door. And that's kind of how life has felt lately, that just a lot of doors keep opening, and all of a sudden it's like you find yourself, you get from this phase in a place where you're like, what am I doing here? This doesn't make sense. All of a sudden it just kind of feels like things align and you find yourself in this place that you were kind of hoping for but didn't really believe was going to be there. And I think that that's what this song has evoked for me as I've been moving into this lovely new apartment, and these new friends have kind of started to form, doors to doors to doors to doors. And I would also like to say that one of the next songs, Evolve and Travel by Invoke, is very much connected to this, because when I moved to Austin, I was trying to figure out what the arts nonprofit scene was here.
Hmm.
And I'd like to just acknowledge that the Austin cultural funding infrastructure is incredible. They give millions and millions and millions of dollars. I think this next grant cycle has over $23 million that they're giving to different arts nonprofits in Austin. And so there are a lot of small arts nonprofits that are putting on really amazing things. And what's been really cool since moving to Austin is that the arts community here is very, very welcoming. It's a
Hmm.
real community, and people genuinely want to do things and build partnerships. So anyway, recently I went with some of my friends who I've made through the arts nonprofit scene. I went to see a performance at the Austin Chamber Music Center's summer festival. And this group, Invoke, is an Austin-based group that is a string quartet with the cello and the viola and the two violins. And
Hmm.
the two of the musicians play mandolin and banjo as well. And they even write songs and they sing. And this concert was really special because they were playing traditional string quartets, one of which was a string quartet that's really famous that they adapted to involve the mandolin and the banjo.
Oh, cool.
And they knew that that was going to be kind of like going against the classical music nerds' expectations of the Ravel String Quartet. But it was so beautiful. It honored the original so well, and it was so well done. I've been really enjoying the evolution of my understanding of what's going on in this city. And I would just add that when I left New York City, I lived in New York City for 15 years. And New York City is an incredible place, as we've discussed, and it's full of, the top cream of the crop excellence in terms of, just about every discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And you leave New York and you realize that you kind of form this silo without even meaning to, that you see New York as this microcosm of the world, and you leave. And I remember going on a road trip with my mother down the country and hearing some Cajun musicians in a random crawfish spot out in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana. And they were so talented. They were so good. And I remember hearing them and thinking, I didn't even realize how close-minded I had become, that I just kind of assumed that everyone outside of New York was, like, okay, like just fun little local musicians. And now here I am in Austin, and I'm hearing these local, and they're not just local musicians, they tour internationally. This group Invoke, they tour all over. And just because in one person's individual narrative, they haven't heard of this one person, doesn't mean that one person isn't a huge deal wherever they're from. Or like when I went to Eritrea and I brought up that I was on Broadway and no one even knew what Broadway was. They didn't care. Like, who
Right.
who are you? I think it's really important for us to remember that the world is really big and there is a lot of talent and a lot of brilliance everywhere. And we are not the center of the world, and no one is the center of the world. And the more we can expand our centers, the more we can just have enriched lives, I think.
Yeah. I like
Anyway.
that a lot, actually. As an anecdote, we went to a restaurant with my cousin a couple days ago on the way to his place, and there was a guitar. She was standing in there playing a guitar, singing some covers, as most restaurants have probably once a week. There's somebody like that, and I didn't want that because I just wanted to like chat with my cousin. I didn't want
Right.
to have it. Not that I didn't like the songs or her or whatever. And so for me, it just wasn't what I wanted at the time, and I wasn't. I was like into the show. But I noticed afterwards there were like 4 or 5 people that went up to her, and I heard them chatting to her, and they're like, that's real music. That's what I'm talking about, and this is what I want. And it really hit the mark for them. And that lady had to like literally like come and, for lack of a better word, bother some people in their restaurant and be like, I'm singing here. But it impacted those 4 people, and they might go home and share her stuff with somebody or get more into the things that she was doing. And I don't know. It's just it can't be so monolithic as it is. Like, oh, here is the music that we're all listening to as a society now. It's all, the more you dive into it, the more granular it is, and the more you experience Cajun in a Cajun restaurant or non-New York musicians outside of New York. I don't know. I think it's a bigger world out there than
And
we're all used to.
I think also we just could check our egos a little bit more and realize that, there are a lot of people who are really, 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 really good at what they do. And if they're not what we consider famous, it doesn't mean that they're less impressive. And then we also have to question what we consider famous, because, even Richie, you and I have so many commonalities in our music taste, and even your idea of what's famous and what's common is probably in some ways different from mine at different times. And, I talk to friends of mine who are touring in stadiums around the country and around the world, and there are other people I talk to who've never heard of the person who they're touring in stadiums with. And
Right.
I think it's so interesting. Like, okay, this is another one, Satinder Sartaj. Have you ever heard of him? Probably not.
No.
He's legendary Punjabi musician, legendary. And no one in America, I mean, so many people haven't heard of A.R. Rahman, who is like a multi-platinum, like billions, like one of the biggest artists in Asia. And he's composed the soundtracks to so many movies. He is like beloved, legendary musician. And so many people in America are like, oh, who's that? Oh, he did
Right.
Slumdog Millionaire? They don't even know. But this guy gets mobbed anywhere he goes in all of Asia. It's just, I just feel like we all could use a little bit of the perspective that we're not the center of the universe and that no one's the center of the universe.
Right.
Like these celebrities could use that too. Anyway.
Yeah. You all say that like it's an insult. You're not the center of the universe, as if like that's some revelation. Like you're,
Right.
you know what I mean? And like it's obvious. Like, duh, I'm not the center of. My own story is my first person narrative, whatever. But
Right.
it's almost like you say that to somebody, and they're like, it's like an insult. Like, how dare
Right.
you tell me I'm not the center of everything?
And like, what a gift to not be the center of the universe. What a
Right.
lonely thing it would be to be the center of the universe, Like,
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think about my own life, and I think about the things in my career that I did that were name brand big.
Mm,
And I think about that contrasted with, what we've been doing for the past number of years with cultural diplomacy. And I have never felt more proud of the artist that I am and of the work that I've done than I have as I have done less of the like name brand American things and worked more with more and more people that have made me more and more humbled in terms of what a big deal I am not. You know what
mm.
I mean?
Thank
But
you for digging into that. I really appreciate. Like, I I've traveled a lot, and I don't say that to like be that guy, but I think I still don't know anybody on your list, and I like it makes me in some way I feel stupid because I'm like, oh, how did I not know blah blah A.R. Rahman? You introduced me to him a couple of years ago, and I had been to India before, like I had traveled there, and I still didn't know this guy, and so like I really appreciate you like bringing these people at least to my ears because I feel like I should know them and I don't. And I think it just goes to kind of the point of this whole podcast is like, it does take some work. It takes like digging, not like a, not like a big machinery digging, but at least like a garden shovel of like, let's just dig in a little bit. And I appreciate you like bringing these artists
I mean, it's the same
to
with
this
you, Richie.
conversation.
It's totally the same. Like, we're both learning from each other. And I do want to say, I don't think the silos are our faults. I don't think we need to feel, and it's not even all, I agree with you that it does take some digging, but it also doesn't. It takes curiosity. You said this last week about traveling, that the difference between going to a sandals resort and which is sometimes really worth it. We just want to tune out. We don't always want to have
Sure.
to go beyond Bruce Springsteen, but in those moments, those few moments where you think maybe this is a time I'd like to lean in a little bit more, and ask someone something, you never know what you're going to discover. It's like what we were talking about with the Chickasaw Cultural Center weeks back, and
Yeah.
like you could just drive by, and so many times in our life we choose to drive by, and that's okay. Like part of the human experience is, missing out every now and then. You're not going to be able to access everything, but I have
Yeah.
so many people ask me how I'm able to. I think you probably have this too, Richie. So many people will ask how we are able to have these incredible adventures and experiences and meet so many people and go to so many places. And I think, gosh, some of the most incredible experiences I've had are moments like that Cajun band at the Crawfish Shack in Louisiana. It didn't take me flying to the mountains of Western Uganda to be able to have this incredible new experience of learning about a new culture. It just takes curiosity. It's just that little extra moment of, okay, I am a human being with a short period of time on this planet, and you are a human being with a short period of time on this planet, and we have this moment in our lives that we have come across each other, and we can either just connect for a second or not. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. Yeah. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people
There are
think
times
it's a
when you're like,
big,
I don't want to talk to the guy in the subway. Thank you very much.
right. And
But
sometimes you don't. And sometimes you do. And I guess to me, it's just when you have that moment of
Mhm.
feeling like maybe I'm open right now, like just go in a little further, you never know. So Satinder Sartaj, I'm pretty sure I learned about him when I was up in northern India. I think also I keep wanting to bring out some Punjabi tunes that are great because I feel like everybody knows about Diljit Dosanjh, who's so amazing. But there's also such a noble, epic history of great music coming out of Punjab. And I've been sitting on some of the songs that I love so much from India. I realized the other day, because I have such a deep love and respect for some of them, I think I've been like waiting till we get more in our groove. Like I won't bring it up. Anyway, so that's the Tinder Sartaj, and that's that whole conversation. And I'm close. So on the note of Austin, I would like to bring up Die Star, who I had never heard of before, and I heard them on the radio the other day. And I had a Beach House song on my playlist because I love Beach House.
Yep.
And this song played on the radio, and I was like, Beach House who? Like, they were so great. I just really loved the song. It's got a great, I don't know if you've heard of this band. Have you heard of them? Has
No, I
everyone
haven't.
heard of them? Okay, me neither. I had never heard of them before. I
Die
think
Star.
as far as I know, I think they're a local band. I think they're an Austin band. I'm not positive. But yeah, like, I'm a fan now, and I'm going to see when they're playing in town. They're actually really, really good. So,
Beach House
Austin.
who?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I also know like there's a lot of people that don't know who Beach House is as well. So
Isn't that funny?
yeah, you think
There we
like,
go
oh, Beach House,
again.
they're too mainstream for this kind of
Right,
list, but
right.
no.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
just continuously amazing. And sometimes I think it's intimidating as musicians to also learn how many amazing musicians and bands and groups are out there. But in a way, it's also comforting because, Richie, frankly, I've heard some songs of yours that are just as good as some of the super famous pop tunes. And I have some songs that I'm really proud of that I've written, and very few people have heard it, you know, because we don't have the money or the infrastructure to get them out there and get the publicists and get on the playlists and all this stuff. And so in a way, it's kind of intimidating to know there's a million amazing musicians. And in a way, it's also comforting to be like, oh, we're not the only ones who've written really good stuff that a lot of people haven't heard.
Totally. The way it works now is so backwards and not fair. It's not a meritocracy. There's like betting on what songs are going to blow up is now part of prediction marketing and Kalshi and Polymarket. Like you can say like, oh, I think this Ariana Grande song is going to blow up, and so I'm going to put $1,000 on it. And like Spotify just removed like 100,000 or 500,000 listens from this one guy's track because they found he was like playing the market and like betting on this particular song, and then also like using a bunch of bots to build it up. So it's this like really convoluted, awful like collaboration between betting and music and meritocracy. And so like the number on Spotify is essentially meaningless now, outside from like, yeah, it's good to have some listens and repeat listens and all that stuff. But
wow,
we're in a weird time right now.
We're in a weird time, Richie. Okay, so we're close. We're close to the end of my list. Okay, so Natural Child, I had not heard of before. I was at a house party recently here in Austin, and it was playing, and I was like, this is catchy. I like it. And turns out they're a band out of Nashville. I don't know, maybe they're super famous in certain niches, and I hadn't heard about them. Anyway, I think they're great. I love the song. That's all.
Cool.
And then the OK song here with Remy Wolf and, I don't know, Solomonophonic. That's a great name. I don't know who these people are. Are they famous? Maybe is Wallows famous? Maybe they're famous. I don't know. But I heard the song years back, and I just loved it. And it came on my playlist this morning when I was making coffee, and I loved it. It's got it's very, very sunny. It's got a great beat. It's got a great bridge. The bridge is really good. And the way that they bring it back is, I also love a good bridge, Richie. I think it's so fun when there's a bridge that you just get like so hyped up, and then all of a sudden they bring it back to the main structure. And it's just, for those of you who don't know what a bridge is in traditional song structure, we've got the verses, which is kind of where the story is usually told, the chorus, which is the catchy thing everybody knows, and then the bridge is that moment that the music kind of changes. Sometimes it'll go to a different key, or the beat will change, and they'll start singing something totally different. And it's just supposed to be this moment that connects. That's why it's called the bridge. It connects the beginning of the song to the end of the song. And when you've got a good bridge, it makes a song.
Give me a good bridge.
Give me a good bridge. All right.
Especially coming out of it into a key change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do a key change. Gotta love Henna.
Yes, that's literally what I was thinking.
Okay. Lone Pilgrim. Have you heard of Crooked Still?
Crooked Still. I have not.
Crooked Still. I don't even know if they're still doing stuff, but there's a woman named Aoife O'Donovan who is an absolutely beautiful singer and songwriter. You can see the instruments in the picture. I think it's like a cello, a bass, and a mandolin or something. I don't know if you're able to find it.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Yep.
Anyway, it's not the most standard configuration of instruments for a band. And they wrote and recorded these albums with songs that have this really, it's very evocative of old like Northern English folk tunes, but it also has this kind of Appalachian bluegrass-ish vibe about it. And her voice is like a dream.
They list themselves as a defiantly non-traditional bluegrass quintet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm curious to hear more.
In the arts, we talk a lot about legacy institutions like the opera and the symphony and stuff like this. And they're doing the best they can to put out the kind of arts programming that communities want. People do want to go to the opera. They do want to see the touring Broadway show. They do want to see the symphony. There are still audiences that go to that, large audiences. It's a legacy that deserves to continue. And that being said, there are a lot of smaller arts organizations that come from a lot of Western classical backgrounds that are interested in exploring more this intersectionality of classical music and folk music and pop music and spoken word and where things could develop. And I'm all for that. Like, I've been seeing that in Africa with Joseph's studio and how they're trying to bring African folk, Ugandan folk more to the forefront of their projects. And I'm all for it here in America too. I think that we can honor the legacies of these artistic styles and also find ways to merge and to share and to continue to grow and evolve together.
That's really encouraging to hear you kind of talk about it that way. I always say monolith. I gotta come up with an.
It's a good
Let me
word.
get the thesaurus out. The monolith. The
I say
giant
vibe all the time.
Blob. The vibe.
Kate is vibe and Richie is monolith.
Monolith. God, maybe that's my birthday present. Please give me a thesaurus. Anyways, the monolith that is like pop music, sometimes it feels like so overwhelming to just always encounter the same stuff. And yes, it's like nice in a nostalgia sense to listen to stuff you've heard. And it's nice in a way. It's comforting. It feels like, biting on a sore tooth. It kind of, you're like, all right, there's that old familiar thing.
That's really well put.
but it's encouraging, and it's nice to hear that, like, when you get past the giant budget of things, you actually get into cultures that are still doing things that are unique and interesting. And so yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, bringing that up.
I mean, I think for me, that's what makes humanity so special. It's not about the boundaries of our, national lines or all of these things, rigid things we've put up to divide ourselves. But it's about how there's all of this unique, special color that deserves to be honored that can so beautifully also evolve. It's this idea that as you grow into something new, do you lose the old? I think that's what, people fear. And I think that oppression and colonialism and monolithic thinking has caused that trauma in our history, that then we become afraid. And I think that if we could build a world where we can appreciate and learn each other's languages enough to understand them and continue to merge and evolve and grow and build, it's not about, things don't have to be lost for them to grow. And I think that that's where the guy at the Manassas Civil War reenactment comes into play. And that's where the operas and the symphonies and the cultural centers also come into play, is that if we can continue to honor the legacies and the heritage that we have, then we can continue to build, and we can build safely, and we can trust it. And maybe that's idealistic of me, but when I envision what a better world would look like, it doesn't. The problem is that we built this system. Humans built the system that you have to scale and optimize for monetization to a degree that, the only way you can really safely trust that your product is going to be monetizable is to do something that's low risk, right? And you have to shrink everything down to its most simplistic MVP structure, and then you scale from there. But then what gets lost when we try to condense into this tiny, very simplistic thing and scale from there? What complexity gets lost? And does it need to be that way? I guess is the question I've been asking a lot lately, is like, does it need to be this way? Is that really optimizing? Isn't there a way that we could optimize for a more complex system that, like, I'm sorry, Richie, I'm going off. We can totally delete this, but
I want to talk about this for hours. This is
I
great.
know. That's why I'm a little worried about today, because there's so much I want to talk about. But there's I've been reading this book called Regenerative Economics, and I've been loving it because
Casual.
just casual reading. I'm a lot, but John Fullerton, the guy who wrote it, what he what he talks about so far that I've been really enjoying is that when you look at the natural world and you look at the ecosystem around us, this is not kumbaya, just like trying to be cheesy or something. Nature is so diverse. There are so many different variations of different plants, of different animals, of different soil types, of different rocks. I mean, it's wildly diverse. And yet there is a way that the ecosystem sustains itself and regenerates. It continues to evolve and grow. And why we've decided as human beings that the most successful way to survive and to build and to grow is to shrink things down into these tiny little, soulless things and then scale that to make money completely goes against nature.
Mm.
And I feel like we've done that interpersonally. Even just the colors that were used to describe race are not the colors that we actually are. And they're so reductive, and it destroys all of the beauty and complexity of being human. I mean, even when you put up these lines about like the USA as this particular place, I mean, how many cultures and histories and stories are within, like you were saying the other day about Colorado and the pueblos and the mountains and the plains and there's so much. Like,
Just
why?
within a state.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's scary to not simplify. It's scary because it can feel very overwhelming and it's a lot for us to hold all of the complexity of the world. So I'm not saying that we have to just like be super complex all the time. I mean, I'm exhausting right now. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that there isn't a better way than what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. Well said.
That's where I'm at.
I want to riff on this a lot, but I don't know if I
know
should
we've got to
do it more. But yeah, I totally agree. You're talking in like project management terms. Of course, I want to talk about that.
go on.
No, I will not. I will not.
That's the
Actually,
best
yeah.
thing.
The best thing.
Go on.
Project
Actually,
management.
what?
No, I like our examples of like monoculturing in our food supply. And we just have this such obvious evidence. Like the more narrow our subset of things it becomes, the worse it becomes. And it's easier as a business to sell things that way. And I think the more you look like you look let me try the words again. The more you look at what you're consuming, what you buy, not to, you don't have to get too deep into it, but just like recognizing, oh, this is Windex trying to sell me blue water that's going to maybe clean my window a little bit. And this is a sandwich that is made by a corporation. Like, it's okay, but also just recognize like that they're just trying to make money. And we're all kind of trying to make money because we're all in the system together, I guess. But
Right.
the more homogenized it gets, or the more
Yeah.
monoculturized it gets, the worse off we are.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
All right. I have 2 songs left and I'll try to go fast. So Ahla wa Sahla. Ahla wa Sahla is by my dear friend Vincent from Lebanon. I have a long history working with a group of songwriters in Lebanon. I went there many years ago for a program that I was supposed to be teaching a Broadway class for young people and wound up realizing that there were a lot of people who wanted to work on songwriting. So we found a tiny, tiny little room and just started writing songs together and talking through songwriting. We started a little songwriting group and it turned into this thing. Like it was the beginning of a lot of the songwriting workshop work that I've done, where I think I had something like maybe 7 people who started and it grew into something like, I don't know, 15 to 20 in the very first month that we did it. And most of the songwriters there were pretty new to songwriting, especially in a Western sense, because in Lebanon, a lot of it comes from the Arab tradition of songwriting, which is usually that they have a separate composer of the music and a separate lyricist, and they work together. So the idea of writing singer-songwriter stuff was kind of relatively new for them. And some of them were already experienced in it. Vincent had been writing songs on his own for a while. He's got an absolutely beautiful voice. And anyway, during COVID, for many, many years, I would meet with these songwriters weekly on Zoom.
Wow.
So we got really close. They taught me a lot of Arabic, much of which I have missed. Anyway, Vincent just came out with this song, and it's a really great song, and it was in my head. From what I know, for him, it was about Lebanon. Lebanon is an incredibly hospitable, warm place, and the people I met in Lebanon are such wonderful people, and I was welcomed into so many people's homes with open arms. Vincent now lives in London, I believe. He kind of splits time between Lebanon and London, and I know that there's just a lot going on right now geopolitically with the Middle East in general and discussions around all of this, and I just think it's so important to keep humanizing people and to keep humanizing like what these places really are beyond just the news and the headlines and the terrible stuff happening. But anyway, it's a great song, and Vincent is just such an awesome person, and
Same.
yeah, it's really cool. So that's that song, and then the last song I guess is "Easy to Love" by Billie Holiday, and I don't know. Billie Holiday. I was telling you about all my jazz ladies and how I grew up listening to nothing but Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and Sarah Vaughan. And "Easy to Love" has just been in my head lately. The lyrics are really lovely, and Billie Holiday has such I will use my word, she has such a vibe. She is such a there's no voice, there is no human being who sounds like Billie Holiday. There never will be, there never was. There's something about her that is just so raw and real always from start to finish every time I hear anything she ever performed. And I just feel like she needed to be honored this week, and that song needed to be honored this week. So that's it. That's everything. I'm done. I have finished.
I'm not clapping because it's over. I'm clapping.
No, you should be.
Fabulous list. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Kate. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. I like your lists because they usually are so personal to you, and they're always like, oh, I know this guy because we had coffee like once a week for a year of my life. I love it. So you actually get to know that person, and then when they come out with a song, you're like, I think I know a little bit about where that's from, and I don't know. I really like
Do you ever
that.
think about this, Richie? Do you ever think about, maybe I'm weird, but sometimes I'll just sit back and I'll think what an honor it is to have friends. Like, do you ever think about that? Like, I like this person and they like me too? Am I crazy? But I don't know. Like,
I guess
what
I
an
never
honor.
considered it like an honor, but yeah, I guess like when you think about it, it is. I'm glad people would like me. I don't know. I just think it's like this product of being around people. I always wonder if it's just like transactional, maybe on a very simple level. Like I need people and you need people, so we are people and we don't bother each other too much. So,
But isn't that a beautiful transaction?
Yeah. Not to like minimize it by calling it somewhat transactional, but like we just lean on each other. That's starting to sound really cheesy. But
no, I mean,
like
I'm the one who just said, isn't it crazy to think about having friends? But I don't know. It just blows my mind to think about the fact that Joseph is out there in Uganda and he's my friend, and Vincent is my friend. And what luck! So many people don't get to meet many people outside of like, their high school friends or the people they work with in the office, and we've gotten to go around the world and connect with people who have no reason to trust us or to like us.
Yeah.
And we've somehow managed to break through and become friends. It's because of music. It's because of curiosity. It's because of everything we've been talking about. And I wouldn't trade that for all the millions of dollars in the world. I truly wouldn't. No way.
All the millions?
All the millions. Seriously, I don't care. I'd rather be poor and have the amazing friends that I get.
I wouldn't know what to do with it. I don't know. I'm sure it could be after enough cars and real estate. You're like, all right, well, an egg is an egg. That's right. That's what I was going to say. It's been a deep podcast. I feel like today we like really got into a lot of topics, and like it's hard to sometimes decide to dig deeper and say like there are some heavy things with this music or there's some heavy histories behind this, but like that's the point of music in a way, is to kind of make it more palatable to talk about.
I agree.
I like today we kind of got into it a little more. So
it's been fun.
It's been fun. If you are just finishing the podcast, make sure to check the show notes. We actually put all of our playlist in the show notes, so you can actually listen to them on your choice of music platform. So check it out. Check out our other episodes as well. We had a special guest, DJ Invisible, recently, as well as other amazing podcasts and playlists that you can check out. Anyway, should we close this out?
Let's close it. We out!
Thanks for listening to Entry Points Radio. You can find the full playlist and connected links for this episode in the show notes. Subscribe for behind the scenes, playlist archives, and more at our Substack and Patreon. Your support makes our work possible. Follow us on Instagram at Entry Points Radio. If something in the episode opened a door for you, send it to a friend. That's the whole point. We'll be back next week with more music beyond the algorithm.